My wife called me terrible in bed. Her best friend said he's actually amazing. She panicked. Her own words destroyed everything. Update 2. The next few days were like seeing my life through a completely different lens. Every interaction with my wife became a study in deception. Every smile, every casual touch, every "how was your day," felt like part of an elaborate performance. I decided not to confront her immediately. That would be too easy, too predictable. Instead, I wanted to understand the full scope of what I was dealing with. I needed to know if this was just about our intimate life, or if her disrespect ran deeper. It didn't take long to get my answer. Monday morning she was on the phone with one of her friends while getting ready for work. I was in the bathroom brushing my teeth when I heard her laughing. "Oh, he's trying to be helpful again," she said, clearly talking about me. "He reorganized the garage this weekend. Took him the entire day to do what should have taken 2 hours." Then she mimicked, but I just smiled and said, "Great job, honey. What else can you do?" Right? There it was. The condescending tone wasn't reserved for discussions about our bedroom. It was her default setting when talking about me to anyone who would listen. I rinsed my mouth and walked past her with a neutral expression. "Have a good day at work," I said, kissing her cheek like I always did. "You too, babe," she replied sweetly, as if she hadn't just been mocking me 30 seconds earlier. This became my new routine. I started paying attention to everything. The way she talked to me versus how she talked about me. The difference in her voice when she answered the phone depending on who was calling. The subtle eye rolls when she thought I wasn't looking. Tuesday evening we were watching television together when her phone buzzed with a text. She glanced at it and smirked. "What's funny?" I asked casually. "Oh, just the girls planning another get-together." She waved her hand dismissively. "Nothing important," but I caught her typing a response that made her smile in that same way she had smiled when entertaining her friends at my expense. Wednesday I decided to test something. I suggested we try a new restaurant that had opened downtown. She agreed, but I noticed how she phrased it when she called to make the reservation. "Yes, it'll be 2 people. My husband saw it online and really wanted to try it," she said with that same subtle dismissive tone I was becoming familiar with. It was like I was a child who had spotted something shiny, and she was indulging my simple desires. The restaurant experience was illuminating. She was perfectly pleasant to me throughout dinner, but I watched how she interacted with the waiter, friendly, engaging, animated. Then she would turn back to me and the energy would shift, not hostile, just less, like she was dimming herself down to match what she thought was my level. At one point, she excused herself to use the restroom. While she was gone, the waiter came by to check on us. "You two seem like a happy couple," he said casually while refilling our water glasses. "We've been together 6 years, I replied. "That's great. Your wife seems like a lot of fun. Very outgoing." Interesting choice of words. Very outgoing. Not "you both seem fun" or "she seems nice." He had noticed the same thing I was seeing. With me she was contained. With everyone else, she was vibrant. When she returned to the table I decided to push a little. "The waiter mentioned you seem very outgoing," I said, watching her reaction. She blushed slightly. "Oh, I was just being friendly. You know how I am," but I didn't know how she was. Apparently I had never seen the real version of her. The version that existed when I wasn't around to supposedly dim her light. Thursday brought the most revealing moment yet. I came home early from work to find her on a video call with her college friends. I could hear the conversation from the hallway before I announced my presence. "I swear sometimes I feel like I'm living with my dad instead of my husband," she was saying. "Everything has to be practical. Everything has to make sense. There's no spontaneity, no excitement, just routine." I stood there listening as she painted a picture of me as some boring, predictable man who was holding her back from living her best life. The same man who had surprised her with weekend trips, who had supported her career changes, who had encouraged her to pursue her hobbies even when they were expensive. But in her version of our story, I was the obstacle to her happiness, the weight she was carrying instead of the partner she was building with. I made some noise coming through the front door, giving her time to switch gears. "Oh, he's home early," I heard her say. "I should go talk later." By the time I reached the living room, she was off the call and smiling at me like nothing had happened. "Hey babe, you're home early. Good day?" "Great day," I replied, studying her face. "How about you?" "Get up to anything interesting. Just caught up with the girls for a few minutes." Nothing exciting, just casually destroying her husband's reputation and painting herself as a victim of her own life choices. That night, lying in bed next to her, I realized something important. This wasn't about fixing our relationship. This wasn't about better communication or couples therapy or any of the usual solutions. This was about respect, and respect isn't something you can negotiate for or earn back once it's gone. It's something you either command or you don't. For 6 years I had been trying to earn something that should have been given freely. I had been working to prove my worth to someone who had already decided I wasn't worth much. But here's what she didn't understand. What none of them understood. The man they were all underestimating wasn't the same man who was lying in this bed right now. The man they thought they knew would have confronted her tearfully, begged for an explanation, asked what he could do to fix things. The man they were actually dealing with was already 3 steps ahead of them. Now you can watch the third part by pressing share and more.